ways to use your contact management system to help you enjoy the success that you want as a real estate agent. Last month, we did our first session, which I called, I Declare 2017 to be the year of the checklist. And in that session, we talked about how amazing it is to have automated transaction checklists in place. I know that doesn't sound like the most fascinating subject in the world, but I'll tell you, I was thrilled with the registration, the attendance, and also the post-show feedback. So hopefully today's session will be as well received as that last one. And judging by the registration, it does seem indeed like it's a topic you're somewhat interested in. So thank you all for registering to be here today, and I hope that you enjoy it. I think you will. So today's subject is using your contact management system to stay in touch with your sphere of influence with Soul, of course. I'll talk more about that here in a few minutes. As always for today's show, I will be using Exact Contact as my demo because it's the contact management system that I personally use, the one that I endorse and that I wholeheartedly recommend. So if you're in search of a contact management system to replace one that maybe you have but you're not happy with, or maybe one that you have that you're not even using, which we hear that a lot, or if you don't have a contact management system at all, I'll encourage you to give Exact Contact a try. But please be assured that this is not a bait and switch infomercial show. I do recommend Exact Contact, and it's what I use for my shows, but pretty much anything I show you during these sessions will work on any decent real estate specific contact management system. It just may be a little bit harder to figure out how to get it to do it. So just a quick disclaimer before we get started. We run these series twice a year, these contact management systems series. So if you've attended one or two in the past, today's material may not be anything new to you. I do try to organize them a bit differently every time, and if I've had any new thoughts since the last show, I'll certainly share them. But in general, my opinions and strategies for using contact management to help you be successful really haven't changed much over the years. So again, I don't have a whole lot new to say, but even if you have joined us before, I'm sure that the time you spend with us today will be worth the time you spend, and certainly you'll get your money's worth out of it. Now let me introduce my co-host who accompanies me on all of these contact management system shows. It's Rich Gossenbeek. He's the VP of Sales and Marketing at Exact Contact. Now again, he's not here to do a sales pitch for you about Exact Contact, but it's nice to have him here. He can answer a lot of questions behind the scenes that I don't know the answers to because I don't work at Exact. And of course, he can he can stop me from time to time if he has questions, if you have questions for me or comments. So if you do have questions or comments during the session today, just go ahead and post them there on the screen, and Rich will be monitoring them. He will answer them if it's something he can answer, or if it needs my feedback, then he'll either interrupt me or wait for me to take a breath. All right, so in the past, when I've done this session about using your contact management system to stay in touch with your sphere or to nurture your sphere, or more basically to run a sphere of influence-based business, I've spent quite a bit of time up front talking about the Sell with Soul model of a sphere of influence business. I'm not going to do that today. The last time I did it, I realized it took a tremendous amount of time, and all of any thoughts I have on the big picture of running a sphere of influence-based business with Soul is out there in writing, and you can check it out for yourself. Rich, I think I sent you over a link to Searchable Soul. Can you go ahead and post that?
Will do.
What he's going to post is a link to the Sphere of Influence tag at my Searchable Soul blog archive. So the blog archive is 10 years worth of blogs that I've written on lots and lots of subjects, but what you're going to see is the link to the ones specifically related to Sphere of Influence. Now, some of them will relate to today and some of them won't. But anyway, you might want to just go ahead and click that and then go back to it after the show today to look at. Don't be reading through it while we're doing our show today. I mean, I guess you can't. But I do think, though, that there are probably a lot of people here today who aren't as familiar with me and the Sell with Soul approach to real estate. I know Rich sent out an invitation to some of his people instead of just mine. So I'd like to just take a minute or two to give you kind of a quick course on what it means to sell with soul. Basically, the Sell with Soul philosophy is that real estate is a profession. It's not a sales job. That real estate licensees are first and foremost service providers, not salespeople. Now, yes, as self-employed folks, we do need to find ourselves clients to serve, but that's the reality of any entrepreneur, and it doesn't necessarily make them a salesperson. So with that in mind, we try to debunk a lot of the traditional real estate thought and training that puts prospecting ahead of client service, and we emphasize that the very best way to generate clients to serve in the future is to do a heck of a job for the clients you have today. And that was a big part of the first session of this series in how to use transaction checklists to be the best real estate agent you know, or as we like to say, the best thing to ever happen to your clients. But we know, of course, that generating business, finding clients to serve, is a requirement of being self-employed. But another one of the Sell with Soul philosophies is that you don't have to sell your soul to do it. You don't have to badger people for business and referrals. You don't have to embarrass yourself with cheesy marketing or push yourself way outside of your comfort zone in the interest of building your business. Now further, pretty much anything you read, any objective study, will show that the best source of business for a real estate agent is their sphere of influence, the people that they know and meet, as opposed to the strangers that they market to. And so here at Sell with Soul, we agree that if you can inspire the people you know and the people you meet to like you and then trust you professionally, and if you know enough of these people who like you and trust you professionally, then you truly can rely on your sphere for the vast majority of your business. Okay, and that's the topic for today. All right, let me pause, take a breath. Everything look okay out there?
Yeah, everything looks fine, Jennifer. No questions so far.
All right, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and dive right in to the 10 simple things you can do with your contact management system to stay connected with your sphere of influence. And I will be showing you again on Exact Contact how easy it is to do this. It's not a training session per se, so if I skip around a little bit and I don't explain every little click and point and such, that's why. I just want to show you, that it can be done and how to do it, but it's not a tutorial. But you will see how easy it is, and that's a big part of why I'm so enamored with Exact Contact. So, simple thing number one is kind of obvious, but using your contact management system to help you remember birthdays and anniversaries. Now, something that will be a recurring theme here today is that we're not going to be asking your contact management system to do your remembering, to do your acknowledging for you, but rather to remind you to do it. Okay, real estate agents kind of are enthralled with making everything very efficient and very automated, and that's not necessarily the best course of action in the vast majority of situations, especially when you're working with your sphere of influence. So just keep in mind, and I will bring this up probably 3 or 4 more times, that we are using contact management to remind us to do things, to help us do them more efficiently, but not to do them for us. Okay. So birthdays, I mean, obviously, birthdays are something that you probably want to have in your business model to acknowledge for the people that you care about. So this is Exact Contact. This is my brother's profile. So let's say that I would like to remember and acknowledge his birthday every year. So I would just go into his profile. There's lots of stuff I can put in here if I want to, but let's go down here. Personal details, I already have this filled in. My brother's birthday is May 19th. If I knew his wife's birthday, I could put that in here too. If I wanted to put in their wedding anniversary, I could do that as well. All right? Now, here's his birthday. Well, having it in here doesn't do me a whole lot of good, right? Because I'm not going to go into every single profile every single day to see who has a birthday. But Exact Contact makes it very easy for you to set reminders for people's birthdays either individually or on a mass basis. So let me show you first. Let me do the mass basis first. And okay. Up here at the top, we have a Keep in Touch tab. And these are global keep in touch events. So I can set up different things on a global basis. This will affect every profile that I have in my contact management system. So let's go into birthday. Now, if I want to include everybody's birthday that I have a birthday for in here, it'll show you what it'll do. Okay, I'll include it in my calendar. And let's say that for everybody, I want to get at least 3 days notice. Now, this will actually send me an email. Okay, this is pretty cool. Now, Rich, I think this is a new thing. The second thing right here, create a task to send a birthday card. Is that new? I don't remember ever seeing that before.
Yeah, it is relatively new, and the idea is you don't have to use it. So if your calendar is working for you and you get a reminder 3 days before, that's fine. The reason it's there is, the way we train people is that calendars really are date and time specific appointments, and tasks are things you need to do. So what some people will do is they'll just want the birthday in their calendar on the day of the birthday, but if they want a reminder, they might have a task that's 7 days before that says, hey, this is your 7-day reminder that Jane's birthday is coming up.
So this is probably what I would use then. It used to be just this.
Yeah.
But what I would do then, okay, so this is how I would use it. Thanks for that clarification. Is I would go ahead and just set this up. Remember, this is a global basis, and create a task to send a birthday card with a due date. And I would say if you're going to send a birthday card, if that's part of your thing, 10 days before the birthday. And then if you want to send a reminder of that, I don't know, you'd fill in the dates there. So this is birthday event template, and this will apply then to everybody. Well, let's go back to Tom, my brother. That's fine, I could have saved it, but I didn't. Now let's say that Tom, I want 20 days, let's say, to be reminded, because I want to get him a really, really cool birthday present. So I can go into Keep in Touch up here on Tom's profile, go into the main contact birthday and say, I actually want, well, it says 15, we'll do 15, that's fine. Send a reminder 15 days before, or I could do it in here that way, okay? So that way I'll get a reminder 15 days before. Now, if let's say that the vast majority of people in your contact database, all you're going to do is, send them a text or an email or call them or something on their birthday, you may only need 1 day that you set up as notice instead of 10 days. Because what I was finding is I was setting everybody up for 10 days, and then by the time their birthday rolled around, I'd kind of forgotten about them. So I changed my own personal one to 1 day, unless it was somebody that I really was going to buy a birthday present for, and I needed a little bit more notice. So, okay, pretty basic stuff right there. Birthdays. But here's where, okay, so birthday's obvious. But what I would probably be more excited about doing here, and let me back up, is now with Facebook and everybody's birthday's on Facebook, and so when you have a birthday, you get thousands of happy birthday greetings. A lot of them from people you don't even know, wishing you a very happy birthday. So it's almost like birthday greetings have, kind of become sort of not as exciting as they used to be. So here's an idea to try. Instead of birthdays, or in addition to birthdays, is think of, or what are some anniversaries for the people that you know that you could acknowledge? Now, some obvious anniversaries would be wedding anniversaries, okay? So if you know somebody's wedding anniversary, then you can go down here on their profile and, fill in their wedding anniversary. So let's say, I don't know, March 1st. Or February 1st, fine. Okay, fill in their wedding anniversary. And then, send yourself a reminder to acknowledge that. But I'm going to suggest that you go further and make it even more personal. So think about an anniversary as, you go through your contact list is, what are some, or keep your antenna up, what are some anniversaries that people might have that you could acknowledge that probably nobody else is acknowledging? And so you would stand out from the crowd for acknowledging these anniversaries. What are some things I might be talking about? I don't know, like let's say somebody gets a new puppy, all right? A year later, you can wish them happy birthday on the gotcha day or maybe they adopted a dog. If you're working with me, I got a lot of people in my life who adopt, shelter dogs. So you could send them a happy anniversary for the gotcha day for their dog. Maybe they started a new job that they'd been looking for months and months, and it was a huge relief. Maybe you could put that in a reminder as an anniversary, and a year later, then, wish them happy anniversary on the new job. Another thing that I would recommend you do is sad anniversaries, significant sad anniversaries, the death of a parent, the death of a pet, things that normally are not things that people would celebrate, but that they would appreciate perhaps a note, 6 months later or a year later saying, hey, I know it was a year ago that your father passed away. I was just thinking about you. Now, let me go take an aside here for a minute and tell you one of the things I think is so wonderful about using a contact management system in your social life is that it actually it helps make you a better friend. And what do I mean by that? Well, that we all want to stay in touch with our friends. We all want our friends to know that we care about them, but it's so easy to forget to do that if you don't have a system reminding you. I mean, it seems like you should remember these things, but think about the last time you had a social encounter with a friend of yours, and afterwards you said, gosh, we really need to get together more, or they told you something and you were really interested, they have a job interview, they're getting a new puppy, whatever. And you say, oh, I really, that's really interesting, and then 6 months go by, a year go by, and you never followed up. So good contact management can help you be a better friend. And a side benefit of that is if you're a better friend, the people that you know are going to like you more and trust you more, and business will follow from that. But primarily it's a personal benefit, but it can certainly help you in your business. So anyway, if this is something you're interested in doing, how you would do that is, one, put your antenna up when you're out in the world talking to people for things that you can acknowledge, for things that you can commemorate. Okay, so I mean, if a friend of yours, if their parent, a mother passes away, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging it, but then putting it in your contact management system to follow up on a year from now. And this is how you would do that. You would go into the individual, their profile, and then just create a new event, mom's anniversary of passing, if you want to do that. And then, whatever day that was, and let's say it's tomorrow, okay? And, send your reminder. I don't think you'd need a big, long reminder, but send a reminder, one day, whatever, and save that. And then this will show up on your task list as a to-do, whatever day that you save it to be, okay? And then you can just add as many of those as you want to the individual profiles, okay? So that's simple thing number one. That'll probably take me the most time to talk about. So that's simple thing number one, staying in touch for birthdays, anniversaries. Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. There's another piece I wanted to add to this. What about home sale, home purchase anniversaries? I mean, that's kind of obvious. We're real estate agents, right? We want to celebrate home purchase and sale anniversaries, and that's great. Obviously, you know what the date for that's going to be. You can fill it in. However, I would make this a little more creative than just the sending out a happy 6 month, happy 1 year, happy 2 year anniversary card. I know you can buy those and you can sign your name to them, send them off, and you think, wow, I stayed in touch. But I think you can do better than that. Take a little bit more of a personal touch. And here's what I mean by that, is on the 1 year anniversary, put it in your contact management system, so-and-so closed on their house on this date, and then say 6 months from now or a year from now, whatever you're comfortable with, contact them personally. Don't just send them a generic card. Contact them personally and say, hey, you know what we were doing a year ago today at 3 o'clock? Okay, and say, if they go, I don't know. Oh, my gosh, you're right. We were closing on the house. We sure were indeed. Hey, can I take you out for a cup of coffee? Can I take you out for a margarita to celebrate? So use it as a springboard. Use it as an excuse to get in touch, not an excuse to send a card. All right? So especially if this is somebody that you would enjoy going out for a drink with, enjoy going out for coffee with, just use that as an excuse. Now, what if you sold a buyer a house and they were going to remodel it? Again, a perfect opportunity. Hey, guess what we were doing a year ago? today at 3 o'clock. Did you ever get that bathroom added under the stairs? Did you ever get that addition done? Did you ever get the hardwood floors in? Whatever the question was. Follow up, and of course, if they did, you'd love to come see it, wouldn't you? All right. What was the other thing I was going to say there? Oh, something that I used to do is I would, if I was working with a buyer, we were under contract, at some point I would run over to the house, make an appointment, go over to the house they were buying, and take a bunch of pictures of it in the condition it was when they bought it, when the sellers were still living there. I would hold on to those pictures. I'd file them, but hold on to them. And then 6 months later, a year later, I would use that as an excuse to contact and say, hey, you want to see something fun? And shoot them over the pictures. Now, obviously, today when you have 25 or 50 pictures on the MLS, maybe this isn't as much fun as it was then, but you know what? It's still a nice thought. Send over the pictures and say, hey, look what I stumbled across. How's the place looking? All right? And again, this is something that you can create a task for in each person's individual profile. So again, all right, that is simple thing number one. Simple thing number two, ways to stay in touch with your sphere of influence. Let me go back. And that is to connect with your group one. Now let me tell you real quickly what group one is. My sphere of influence business philosophy is that I categorize my contacts into group one and group two. It's very simple. Group one is my social network. I define it as somebody I would enjoy having coffee with. And group two is everyone else, people that I know, that I like fine, but I don't necessarily want to have coffee with. Okay? Now, in my plan, my sphere of influence plan, the goal is to make social contact with everyone in my group one once a quarter. And by social contact, I mean ideally a face-to-face, a coffee date, a lunch date, a happy hour date, a dog walking date, whatever. But if we can't do face-to-face, voice-to-voice, or in a pinch, an email, text, or a Facebook conversation. But the closer you can get to face-to-face, the more effective that these connections are going to be. All right. So how can your contact management system help you do this? Well, remember, let's go into, let me see, there we go. Remember how I just said a few minutes ago that I divided my sphere of influence into group one and group two. Group one is my social network, group two is everyone else. So the first thing to do this, if you're going to run a similar model, would be to go through everybody in your sphere of influence and designate them either as group one or group two. And that's extremely easy to do in Exact Contact. So let's just say this is my demo account sphere of influence right there, see? So let's just say, for fun, and I'm going to do this quickly, but I'm going to click people. I'm not even looking at these names, okay? Your name might be on here. I've got some of you all in here. Okay, so let's just say these people that I just selected are my group one, my social network, the people that I would enjoy having coffee with. I can mass assign them to a group. Group one, mass assign. And now all of these people that I checked are going to show up in my database as group ones. Now I would do the same thing with group twos. I would go through and then designate everybody else as group two. I'm not going to do that right now. You can also designate people as group one and group two in their individual profiles very easily. So let's go ahead and do that. This is my brother again. We go down here to contact groups. I created this contact. I customized this for me. He's already group one, all right? But I could, make him a group two too if I wanted. I could call him a realtor. We'll talk more about that later. But in any event, I can do that there. All right. Next thing I'm going to do I need to save that? Sure, why not? Next thing I'm going to do is go into reports, and I'm going to print out, yes, with an actual printer and ink, I'm going to print out a list of my group one. I'm going to do a very simple report. I'm going to select my contacts. I'm going to do an advanced search to include only my group one. I'm going to select all of them. view report, sorry. Okay. And so now this is going to give me a list of all of my group ones. It's 3 pages on my particular list. I'm going to print this out, actually print it out, and remember what the goal is here is to connect with everyone in your group one at least once a quarter. So what I'm going to do is print this out, and then I'm going to go through the list, let's say on Friday, every Friday. I'm going to print this out every quarter. I'm going to go through this list on Friday, and I'm going to identify a handful of people on there that I'd like to try to make a connection with over the next week. The interesting thing about this is that some people on here will call out to you. You know, so you're, let's say on Friday, you're going through here and you're going, oh, I'd really like to connect with her and him and him. Okay, so you just kind of highlight those names and then you reach out, try to make a connection. You know, hey, you want to go out for coffee next week? Hey, I was just thinking about you. How's the puppy doing? You know, can you send me some pictures? But the goal is to get a face-to-face if you can, voice-to-voice next, and then text, email, you know, Facebook down the line. Now, what if you're looking at your group one list and there's a name on there and you say, I just don't really want to go out for coffee with them? Well, then guess what? They're not a group one, they're a group two, and there's nothing wrong with putting them into group two, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But the idea is that you print out this report once a quarter, and then throughout the quarter, you go through this list every day or every week, you identify the people you're going to try to connect with over the next week, and then you reach out to them to make that connection. If you make the connection, then you can put a check mark by their name. You can note their profile if you want, but make a check mark by their name, and then the next week, move on to the next, and to the next, and to the next. And by the end of the quarter, you should have at least attempted to make contact with everybody in your group one. Are you going to make contact with everybody? No, probably not. You may make contact with half. You may make contact with, you know, just 25%. But just the reaching out and attempting to make contact counts for something. Although, of course, the more face-to-face or voice-to-voice you get, the more effective this is going to be. Okay? So, yeah. So basically, once you've made contact or at least tried, you put a check mark next to their name, and then just keep going. And then at the end of the quarter, you can go ahead and, you know, print out a new list and start all over again. And ideally, you'll have slightly different people in your group one, hopefully more people in your group one than you had the quarter before. Now, what if at the end of the quarter, again, there's somebody on here that you never was inspired to reach out to, they just never triggered that, I'd like to touch base with them? Well, again, don't stress yourself out over it, all right? Put them in group two. It's fine. Take them out of group one. Okay, so that is simple thing number 2, connecting with your group ones. Now, related to simple thing number 2 is simple thing number 3, which is to follow up with your group ones. Now, what I mean by this is that after you've gotten together or you've talked or you've communicated, however you did your quarterly make contact, write down at least one thing that you can follow up on with your friend, something that came out of the conversation that you could very naturally contact them again to find out how it went. Again, a job interview, maybe a medical procedure for them or for their spouse. They got a new puppy, they went on vacation, something like that. Surely in your conversation with this person, something of interest that will be talked about that a good friend would follow up. So this is incredibly simple to do with your contact management system. And remember, we're using our contact management system to remind us to do things, to encourage us to do things, but not to do them for us, okay? So let's say that I went out to lunch with Cindy and we talked about something. I'm just going to do a quick task, call Cindy and ask about the job interview. Okay, let's say we went to lunch today. I'll call her, I'll put a call in for a week and a half from now. Okay, and now I save that, and I can put notes here if I want about it. She's interviewing with IBM, and she's excited about it, and whatever, I could put notes there, but I didn't. This will now, this is the only thing I have on my task list, but this will now show up on my task list on the 27th of February to contact Cindy and ask her how it went. Do you see how, though, if I didn't put that on there or I didn't make note of it, that I would completely forget to do it, and then maybe I hear from her 6 months from now, a year from now, I go, hey, you know, whatever happened with that? But it's a little late at that point. So, okay. And, you know, really, this doesn't have to be your group one. You can do this with anybody. So certainly people in your group too, or even strangers, or new contacts, you can certainly always have your antenna up for something to contact them about, something to follow up with them about after your social encounter. Okay? So that's a simple thing to do, number 3. Now, are you seeing just these little things? And keep in mind, a sphere of influence business model is about inspiring people to like you and trust you so that they will be willing to support your real estate business. You can't just jump from someone knowing you to them liking you and trusting you. Well, you can't skip over the like and the trust to the, hey, please send me business, which is unfortunately what a lot of real estate agents do. They meet somebody and then they immediately start asking for business. To get through the like and the trust, you need to take these extra steps. And, aside from the business benefits of it, this is going to, enrich your personal life tremendously. All right? Okay, now let's talk about group 2. And Rich, I may need your help with this one. Let's talk about group 2 real quickly. Remember, as I explained a few minutes ago, that group 2 is your, quote, everyone else group. Now, it's the people that you don't necessarily want to go out for coffee with. Now, there's nothing in the world wrong with being a group 2. It's not an insult. It doesn't imply that you don't think they'll send you business. In fact, just the opposite. I think most agents, once they start working under the group 1 and group 2 model, they realize that group 2 is actually probably a more significant source of business for them than their group 1s. Now, why is that? Well, first, in most people's social structure, they're going to have far more group 2s than group 1s. I mean, the whole nature of group 1 is that these are kind of extra special people. So by default, all of the other people that you know are not extra special people. There's nothing wrong with them, but they are your group 2. So there's more of them than group 1. Another reason that you can see a significant amount of business from your group 2 is, I mean, if you think about the people in your life that you refer to, that you are happy to refer to, other businesses, are they all your besties? Are they all your best friends? Probably not. Most of them probably are not. They are people you would consider your group 2, but you're happy to refer them. And we're not going to talk about that a lot today, but just kind of give some thought as to why that would be. But in any event, we don't want to discount your group 2s as not being worthy of your attention. They definitely deserve your attention, not pestering attention, not too much attention, but you don't want to forget about them. So in my sphere of influence business model, which was relatively successful, if I do say so myself, part of the model was to send out what I called mass emails to my entire sphere of influence, which included my group 2s. Now, you can use, and if I misspeak, Rich, here, let me know, Exact Contact is one of the few real estate specific contact managers who has a robust mass email functionality. I'm sure there are other ones that do, but I believe Exact was the first that did and is still probably one of the best. Is that still correct, Rich?
We think so.
Yeah, yeah. I am a huge believer in mass emails, huge, okay? It was a big deal during my real estate career, and it's a big deal now in my current career. So, and you can use your contact management system to do this. So, let's see, I don't have, what I would do is I sent out mass emails to my sphere of influence. My goal was every 6 weeks. I probably didn't always hit that, but every 2 months, at least, 5 to 6 times a year, send out a mass email. And Exact Contact makes that very easy to do. They do have some templates here. I would recommend that you create your own, very simple. And it is very simple to do in Exact. I'm not going to go through it all here, but you do your subject. Okay, do you want an email header, which you can design very simply in Exact Contact, a salutation, Dear John, Dear Mary. You can change the font. So, let's just say, this is the title of the thing, and then blah, 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 blah. There's my email. And then let's see, I want to include my signature. Okay. In any event, we did a whole show on how to create mass emails in Exact Contact once, so I'm not going to go through all of that today. But let's say that you want to create it. Let's say this is lovely, which it will be once you're done. Select your contacts. You want to select everybody? Sure. Let's send it to everybody. And then we would be able to send it out. Okay. The burning question, I know for most people, is, well, what do I write about? What do I send out in a mass email? And we did, again, we've done a show on that, I think fairly recently. But if you would like an idea, Rich, if you have that second link I sent, this is a page on my website where I share 5 or 6 of the sample mass emails that I actually used, that I really used in my real estate career to send out to my sphere of influence, and they were very well received. Again, this is not a course today in doing mass emails, but I will say it is well worth the investment of your time and creative energy to do your own mass emails, as opposed to buying stuff off the shelf. I will tell you, I'm on a lot of real estate agents' distribution lists, and I get the same mass email from probably 20 of them, the exact same one. I know they're buying it off a shelf. And I mean, that's fine, but most people, I think, can do better. They can write their own, they can be interesting. It doesn't take that long. It doesn't have to be, a work of art. But if you do them yourselves, I think you'll find a lot more bang for the buck. So that is simple thing to do. Number 4, use your contact management system to communicate with your group 2 and your group 1, but specifically your group 2 with mass emails. Okay. Heading into number 5, Rich, any questions or comments to break the flow here?
Nope. I think you can keep going, Jennifer.
Okay. Simple thing to do to stay in touch with your sphere of influence, number 5, is to send out postal mailings 3 times a year. As part of my sphere of influence business model, my goal was to send out 2 to 3 postal mailings a year. I would try to do one in January that was, kind of a Happy New Year letter, more of a personal, Happy New Year, here's what's going on in my life, yada, yada, yada. During the middle of the year, I would just send out sometimes just kind of a canned kind of thing. And then at the end of the year, I would do a doodad, a calendar, a magnet, something like that. Now, obviously, my contact management system did not do this for me, but it did remind me to do it, and it also had the mailing addresses for my sphere of influence. The thing is, you think, well, that's pretty simple. I don't need a contact management system to tell me to send out mailings, and that's probably true. But, the funny thing is that, again, time flies. And you may think that you sent something out to your mailing list earlier this year, and it was earlier 2 years ago. So just the simple act of putting your mailings into your contact management system, and I'll just show you how easy that is to do. So we'll do our January Happy New Year letter. And we're going to say we're going to do that every January 6th. Okay, we're going to make it recurring and do it every January 6th for now and forever. And so now, if you look at your task list right here, oops, we're late, we haven't done it yet. Okay, but there it is, and it'll show up every year. Then we can do our mid-year mailing. Let's say we're going to do that in May. We're going to make it recurring, yearly, every May, whatever I said, 6. Is that what I said? Fine. Okay, and see here, mid-year mailing is going to pop up for me in May, and then you can do your end-of-the-year doodad. You'd probably want to start thinking about that in September. So you'd put a task in there that says, think about end-of-the-year doodad, order end-of-the-year doodad, and then that would pop up every year. So very simple. I don't think that you need to postal mail your sphere of influence every 2 weeks, every month. I think 2 to 3 times a year is plenty. The goal of physical mailings is to get your business card, so to speak, whether that's a calendar, a magnet, or a business card, into the hands of the people who know you. But I can save you a lot of money here. You do not need to mail to people every 2 weeks, every month, so that they don't forget you. I promise you don't have to do that. A few times a year is plenty. Okay. Speaking of postal mailing, simple thing to do, number 6, is to handwrite those postal mailings. Okay. Now I know that's not easy, but it is a very simple thing to do, especially if you're going to do kind of the January Happy New Year letters, the more kind of personal letters. I highly recommend that you handwrite those. Now, if you're doing something canned, maybe in the middle of the year, then a label is probably fine. Maybe doodads, if you're sending out doodads, calendar magnets, something like that, a label is probably okay. But I would recommend that at least once a year, you handwrite the labels. And if you can do it for all 3 times a year, then go for it. It's certainly not going to hurt the chances that the thing that you're mailing out gets open. Okay, it won't kill you to do it. It'll take you an extra few hours, but again, it's probably well worth the investment of that. Now, obviously, your contact management system can't do that for you, but you can certainly go to the reporting section. Remember that we went to earlier. Do the card list, select everybody, and print it out. Okay. Nice thing about doing it this way, I guess, is that if there's somebody on here, you're like, I don't want to send them a calendar. They don't get my calendar this year or whatever. You don't have to, but you do have the report that you can refer to. Okay. Simple, simple, simple stuff. Okay. Simple thing to do to stay in touch with your sphere of influence, number 7, and that is to create subgroups. Now, remember, let's go back to here. Remember earlier in the session, I showed you how to group your contacts into group 1 and group 2. You can either do them on a mass basis here, or you can do them one at a time as you enter new profiles. Well, are there groups within your sphere of influence that naturally fall into subgroups? Okay, for me personally, I would have my family. That would be a natural subgroup. Maybe service providers, realtor friends, and, for me, my rescue friends. You might have people that you go bike riding with, that you go motorcycle riding with, other parents who play on the softball team. Are there subgroups with the people you go to church with? Okay, are there subgroups within your sphere that it would make sense to group them, and you think you might use that grouping at some point to communicate with them? Okay, let's say that in your case you go, well, heck yeah, I can see myself doing that. So I'll just show you how easy this is to do. We'll just go through, pick some people, and let's just say that these are people in my world who are involved in animal rescue with me. Okay, so I'm going to go down here. I'm going to mass assign the group. I think I've already created the group, but it's easy to do if you don't. Rescue. Mass assign, and now everybody who is involved in rescue who I can see communicating with specifically about rescue, if I wanted to go in and do a report, that would be easy to do. I just sort it like I did before and choose my rescue. If I wanted to send out a mass email, remember how when I went into the contacts of to send a mass email, I could easily select that. Now let's go into, if you wanted to set up subgroups on an individual basis, down here, contact groups. I call them subgroups. They call them contact groups. Modify list. I'll just show you how easy that is to do. Let's say that you have, I don't know, PTA members. Let's just say. Add that, and see, there it is, right there. Now, if I wanted to make, who is this? If I wanted to make my brother a PTA member, I just go over here. He's family, he's group 1, and he's a PTA member. And let's say he's a softball friend too, whatever. I can make him whatever. And then save it, and then if I were to do a report, a mass email, or just a list of whatever group I put him into, then he would show up there, okay? Now, if this isn't something that you can see yourself ever using, then this is kind of another caveat I have for when you're building profiles, is don't get all wrapped up in using all of the features if you won't use them. So, for example, birthdays. If you're not somebody who acknowledges birthdays and you're not going to acknowledge birthdays and you know you're not going to, then don't worry about tracking them down and, and getting that, annoying little reminder to acknowledge the birthday knowing full well you're not going to. One of the fields on here, of course, is fax number. Are you ever going to fax this person? Probably not. So don't go around, don't spend an hour or two trying to track down people's fax numbers just because there's a field on the profile to do that. And so the same with these groups. I mean, I think groups are cool, but if you can't ever see yourself doing it, then don't spend an hour doing it. Okay, maybe sometime in the future you will, and then you can do it. But don't spend a lot of time in a contact management system on things that you're just not going to take advantage of. All right. Simple thing to do, number 8, is to create what I call an SOI inbox, sphere of influence inbox. All that is a box or a file, something very handy in your office that you toss sphere of influence updates into. So if you get somebody's new phone number, scribble it down, throw it in the inbox. A new email address, a new mailing address, they get married, whatever it is, what I would do if it were me is I don't want to go into my contact management system every time I have an update to do. By the time you get in and out, it's going to be, 5 minutes. I don't know. I would just save them all and do them once a week or even once a day, but just have your SOI inbox so that when you get updated contact information, or maybe this is where you put your, your follow-ups. Oh yeah, call Peggy in 2 weeks and find out how the appendectomy went or something, or, she's got her braces off, ask her to send me a picture. You can even throw those in your inbox and then update your contact management system all at one time instead of trying to do it every single time something happens. Okay, simple thing to do, number 9 out of 10, and that is to create your own personal sphere of influence business plan. Now, we've alluded to this throughout the show today, but you can actually sit down, take an hour, and create your own personal sphere of influence business plan. And all that is simply a list of things you're going to do throughout the year to stay in touch with the people you know and to meet new people and then to stay in touch with them. And most of these are going to be recurring tasks, things that you'll do at regular intervals, and this is where your real estate-specific contact management system can help you make it very easy. So, for example, your sphere of influence business plan might look something like mine, which is send out mass emails every 6 weeks, do postal mailings 3 times a year, attend a local event once a month, host an event at your house once a quarter, print out your group ones every quarter, and then update your contact manager from your sphere of influence inbox. Now, it'll probably include a lot more than that, but here's the cool thing is what you would do is just go in, and again, most of these are recurring. I think they're all recurring. So you're going to go in and just create recurring tasks out of them. Let's say you want to do a mass email every 2 months. Okay, we'll start in February. Make it recurring, monthly. How do I want to do this? Regenerate new task. We'll just do it like that. Every 2 months after it's completed. So once you've done it, you mark it complete. And then 2 months later, you'll get a note to do it again. Okay, we already did your postal mailings. We can add another task. Attend a local event. I'm going to do that every month. Make it recurring, monthly, first day of every month. Save. Okay, we'll do one more. Print out new group 1. We're going to do that the first of every quarter. So we'll start January 1st. Make it recurring, monthly, day 1 of every 3rd month. And now, every quarter, that's going to show up to print out your new Group 1 report on your task list. Okay? All right, simple thing to do, number 10. This is, I love this, and if you don't buy into it, I'm okay with that. But what I would ask you to do is twice a year, go into your reporting, select contacts, select all of them, view your report. So in mine, this is 175 people. This is everybody in my sphere of influence. Everybody. Print out the report. Print it. Don't just look at it. Don't just look at it on your phone. Don't just look at it on the computer. Print out this list. I think it's 10 pages. Or, yeah, 10 pages on mine. We're doing this twice a year. Take a moment, take a few minutes, sit down on your couch, and lovingly go through every name on this list. Look at every name. Spend 15 seconds thinking about that person, thinking good thoughts. Just go name by name, by name, by name, by name. Now, kind of like when you're printing out your Group 1 list, I think some of these names are going to call out to you to say, wow, I really need to touch base with that person. I really need to. And if you get that strong feeling, highlight that name, or shoot, I don't know, put the list down, go call them right away. Because, just that feeling, I think you're going to be glad that you did. But go through your entire list twice a year and think good thoughts about every person on there. I think you will be very pleasantly surprised at how that comes back to bless you. How many people that you have been thinking good thoughts about will reach out to you out of the blue, or you'll hear about them from a mutual friend and you'll be inspired to contact them. Or if nothing else, as you're going through your list, you'll, oh my gosh, she got married. I totally forgot about that. I need to, you'll be inspired to reach out to these people to where you can't resist doing it. Okay? Obviously, as you're doing this, you will probably see names that, oh, they've moved out of the area, or, you'll see kind of practical, pragmatic updates that you need to make to your list. But I think the bigger picture is, just practice sending warm, fuzzy vibes out to everybody on this list, and then just see what happens, see what follows. And again, if you're inspired to reach out to somebody yourself, don't ignore that, don't put it off, do it. All right? So that's simple thing number 10 is print out your sphere of influence twice a year and spend some time with it. Spend some loving time physically touching every name on your list. Okay, so those are the 10 simple ways to use your contact management system to stay in touch. Give me some questions.
Okay, one question was, we actually don't have very many. One was, how do you create a sphere of influence inbox?
It's just a box.
So it's an inbox in your
literally
email.
A box. Yeah, I guess that sounded all techie and stuff, but no, literally, I wish I could take a picture of mine. Mine's a little plastic box I bought at Walmart. Oh. And I handwrite things down and I throw them in there, and then I go through it, once a week or once a month or something.
Okay. There were a couple questions about Exact Contact. Question is, is there any way I can give it a try, take it for a test drive? You may want to mention that people on the webinar can get a special offer through you.
Absolutely. So if you're interested in Exact Contact, then if you're friends of mine, then you can get they have a regular 35-day trial period. You can get that extended to 60 days if you do that through me. The cool thing is it's only going to take an hour or two for you to get on Exact Contact and go, yeah, I can do this. This is easy. And then the whole rest of the 60 days is basically just using it for free because it's not going to take you 60 days to learn it. This is not some of those other programs that are so complicated that they actually use it as a selling point that you're going to need to take an 8-hour course on how to maximize the product. You don't need an 8-hour course with Exact Contact. You just sit down, thumb around through it a little bit. If you have questions, call their customer service, which is great, but you don't need an 8-hour course. So I think Rich put the link up there if you'd like to give it a try. There's no contract, which is nice. There's no annual contract, and there's no setup fee. So there's really no risk involved at all. If you are a brand new agent in your first 365 days of licensure, you can extend the 60 days out to 6 months. You would just enroll in the 60-day trial and then shoot me over evidence of your first-year status, and I'll get that extended for you.
Couple follow-on questions to that. One is, what's the cost after the free trial? So it is $34.95 a month, but as Jennifer says, there's no contract. And that's whether you're on the 60-day free trial as an experienced agent or the 6-month free trial as a rookie. Someone asked, does the exact contract help me get started at all? And the answer is yes. We don't only have very outstanding customer support through your entire lifetime, but we do something we call concierge setup service, which means basically our support guys will help you do everything to get set up and running and seeing business value from the system, whatever features you want to use. And it's just a free service that we offer, while you're even in free trial status. Is there any other? So, is there a mobile app? The answer is yes. So while we've been talking, a few more questions have come in, Jennifer. There are more for you, so let me start to read these out. What's the best way to purge your list, and should you keep your purged list?
So I'm assuming what that question means, and if you could maybe elaborate as I'm talking here, if I don't hit it, is when you say purge, do you mean, clean up, go through your list and find names in there that you don't want to keep because you don't like them anymore, people that maybe referred or that hired another real estate agent, or simply names in there that you have no idea who this person is?
Yeah.
Well, what I would do, and there's a lot of different approaches to this, but I'm of the opinion that a name in your database is not taking up any room. So there's no real need to delete somebody if you don't have a real pressing need to do that. One thing you might do, if you have a database full of names you don't know who they are, because maybe you met them at open houses, maybe they were web leads, maybe they were something, and you really honestly don't know who they are, is I would create what I call the IDK group, I don't know group, and just move them into there. Okay, don't put them in group 1, don't put them in group 2, don't put them in anything else, put them in the IDK group, keep them there, and maybe you'll find a use for them at some point, maybe you won't. What some people I've heard have done is take their IDK group, and if they have emails, if that's a big part of what they have is emails, is come up with sort of a local video, a local slideshow, a local something that would be of general interest to people in the area, and just send it out, with a nice warm fuzzy note and see what happens. A lot of people would probably unsubscribe, then that's fine. A lot of them would be undeliverable, that's fine. But if you send something out that's quality, you might end up with another 50, 100 people in your group too. If there are people in your database that every time you see their name it makes your stomach hurt, then go ahead and delete them. That's fine. However, don't delete people just because they've never referred to you. Don't delete people if they hired someone else, okay? Don't delete people because you've been communicating with them for 6 years and they've never responded. Unless they make you unhappy to see their name, leave them in there, keep doing what you're doing. It's not hurting anything, and probably the reason you haven't heard from them, the reason they hired someone else, has absolutely nothing to do with you. Just keep doing your thing, okay? It's not going to hurt anything. Okay. Now, if it's a technical question on how do you purge your list, then I think the easiest thing would be to go into that list view and just tag the people you don't know who they are and hit delete would be my guess, the easiest thing to do.
Okay, a couple more questions. One person asked if there are a sample of plans. I'm not sure what that means, so that may be a better one to follow.
Sphere of influence business plans?
Maybe, oh, that's what it is, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's one in, I can't remember which book, probably Prospect with Soul, maybe The More Fun You Have Selling Real Estate. In one of my books, I do share a sample sphere of influence business plan. It's not complicated. I would just tell you, you can make one yourself. Sit down and think of, okay, here are the things I'm going to do in the next year to meet new people, to stay in touch with the people I know, and just get myself out there in the world. And it's pretty simple. I mean, sending out mass emails, sending out postal mailings, going to a local event, hosting an event at your house once a month. There's probably, there's a bunch of other things you could do, but you don't. I mean, templates are nice, and maybe, Rich, maybe that's something we'll do, is create, you know, a Jennifer Allen Hagedorn Sphere of Influence, you know, business model template. But, you know, don't overthink it. Just think of the things you're willing, able, and can afford to do throughout the year that you would enjoy doing, that would help you meet people and stay connected with the ones you know, and run with it. And as you think of new things, add them.
Right on. Another question was, what's the best way to connect with you, to become friends? Is it Facebook or what else?
Me personally?
Yeah, you personally.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Facebook's fine, Jennifer Allen Hagedorn. If you're on my mailing list, then you'll hear from me from time to time, and you can email me back, and I'll answer. So I'm very, very easy to get in touch with. I am very good on email, so I'm still old-fashioned there. I do a lot of emailing. So again, if you join my mailing list, my stuff comes out from me. So if you hit reply, it comes right back to me, and I get it right away. So that'll work.
Gotcha. Another question, do you have any letter that you use to reconnect with those from the past? As for some of my clients, they may not have heard from you for a bit and want to reconnect.
Yeah, and that's always, people who follow my stuff tend to overthink that, and I do too. So I don't have a letter because that kind of defeats the whole purpose of the letter being from you. You want it to be naturally from you, from your voice, from your experience, not a, I am so sorry I lost touch, I promise it will never happen again. If you know anybody who needs a real estate agent, please feel free to refer. I will, you know, the greatest compliment I can receive. You don't want to send out, that's what we call around here dorky. And if you go up there to Searchable Soul, which I included the link before, but it's searchablesoul.com, you can literally search for dorky, and you'll find a lot of discussion about how to not be dorky when you send out written communications to your sphere of influence. I do have a product called Dorky Announcement Letters Dedorked that has, I think, 16 different samples of letters that people have used to reconnect with their sphere of influence. I also have a product called the Sell with Soul Mega Toolkit that has, I don't remember how many, 50 maybe, different kinds of letters to send out to kind of inspire you to come up with your own, but that you can send out to your sphere of influence. Just, you know, put them in your own voice. But, you know, again, don't overthink it. Just write something to your friends, and that will be appropriate for your entire sphere of influence. Just, you know, stay out of corporate speak. Stay out of, you know, dear friends, I have recently joined this real estate company, and I'm going to provide exceptional service, and you know, nobody cares. That's going to go in the trash. So. Again, if you take a look at that link that Rich put up a little while ago of sample sphere of influence letters, now that's not exactly the same thing, but that's the, you know, that's kind of the idea, the voice, the message is from you, the real person who happens to be a real estate agent, not you, the real estate agent, looking for business.
A couple more questions on the technical side, Jennifer. Numerous ones about sort of getting data uploaded and syncing with, you know, Gmail, things like that. So the quick answer to that is we don't care where your data is now. As long as it's electronic, we'll find a way to import it for you. So that's part of our, you know, concierge setup service, is we upload your data for you. And if you want to also sync with your phone, or with if you use Gmail or use Outlook or Mac address book and iCal, we can set up real-time sync with all of those. And probably Google Sync is the hot one right now. That is a huge huge win for people, because now you've got one contact list, one calendar, whether you're on your device or you're in Exact. And of course, we also got the mobile app, so that gives you your, you know, direct access to your database and your Exact calendar the same way in task list.
Okay.
Just checking any others. A couple more came in. Oh, the first link is not working. I'm pretty sure I copy pasted the whole thing. I'm just going to do it again.
Is that the Searchable Soul link?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. Well, and you can just type in searchablesoul.com, and then down there on the left right-hand side, there's categories and there's tags, and you can, well, you can explore it yourself, but down there in the categories, you'll see tags, you'll see a big sphere of influence, and that was the link that Rich posted. And so you can, you know, go there.
Okay, I did resend it. And if it's still not working, you know, we'll follow, Jennifer, we'll follow up with you, I'm sure, and just double check on that link. Or maybe there's you know, an issue with the page. Who knows? These things happen, right?
These things happen. Exactly.
And I think we've covered off all the questions that came in. I'm just scanning. There's a little blizzard there. Yeah, I think we've covered everything, Jennifer.
Okay, well, terrific. This was fun. So we'll have one more session in this series, and that will be, I don't remember when it is, but I think it's sometime in March, and we're going to be talking about the bells and whistles that Exact Contact offers. I am not a bells and whistles kind of person, but I know a lot of you are. I can tell by the questions Rich was just asking. So Rich and I will get back together, and he'll show you some of the really cool things that Exact Contact does for those of you who like that kind of thing. So. I appreciate everybody being here. You can certainly reach out to me, and I will answer any questions that I can. If you post questions on the sheet there that Rich needs to get back to, I know he will. But I appreciate everybody being here. It looks like we had great attendance again. So anything else, Rich?
Nope, I think we're good.
We're good. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. All right. Bye-bye.